Hey, everybody. Thank you all for coming. It's great to see you here tonight. I'm thrilled that we have Dagoberto Gilb here to read to us. It's nice to have something, pleasurable and not painful to do on a Tuesday night. But before I'm going to bring up Kim Garza from our PhD program. She's a wonderful fiction student, and she's going to do the introduction. But first, I wanted to make a couple of announcements. One, there are books for sale. You saw the books. If you don't have copies of the books, buy copies of books and get them signed afterwards. So make sure you do that. Second, super important thing, kill the cell phones. Right? Turn them off so that we don't hear them chirping away like crickets during the reading. But let's bring up Kim. Kim.
Slightly shorter than Corey. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? This way? Okay. I only have to tippy-toe a little bit. In my last semester of college, I took a class on contemporary Mexican-American literature. I felt prepared. I'd read George Washington Gomez. I could spout names like Rodolfo Anaya and Rolando Hinojosa, and I'd long been a devout follower of the Church of Sandra Cisneros. Then one day, my professor handed out a short story by a writer I'd never read before, The Death Mask of Pancho Villa by Dagoberto Gilb. We were going to discuss it the following week, but she said, "Read it now, I'll wait." This was a Friday morning, and I was tired, I was sleepy, I was a senior in college, and like many of Dagoberto Gilb's characters, I would later find out, a little crudo. That means hungover. But I started reading. In the story, the unnamed narrator is awakened in the middle of the night by a pounding at the door. He finds waiting outside an old friend, Gilb, and a stranger named Ortiz. They tell him they've come into possession of a death mask of the famous revolutionary Pancho Villa, and they want the narrator to come see it. He doesn't want to. They drink some beer, they smoke some weed, they talk about old times, they talk about the mask, all standing outside the front door of an El Paso house while cops cruise slowly through the neighborhood. Still, the narrator says no, and when they leave, he climbs back into bed with his wife. Spoiler alerts. I didn't get it, and frankly, I didn't think I liked it. I was a budding creative writer myself, and this story went against all I felt sure of in short fiction. It was less than 10 pages long, for one, and it was just one extended scene. No section breaks, no spanning of time, no flashbacks. The narrator's friendship with Gilb was only briefly explained, and Ortiz the stranger is not explained at all. There's much that the narrator knows but doesn't tell us. There's even more that he doesn't know. And worse, we never even see the death mask. It's not one glimpse. We don't even know if it's real by the end of the story. I was confused and I was irritated. Stories I'd been taught had an arc. People don't just stay in one place and think about things. You run the risk of boring the reader. And if your characters aren't white, if your characters are, God forbid, brown people from those corners on the border, you color even closer within those lines, or so I thought. Surely we couldn't write that. Dagoberto Gilb would care little about what one shouldn't or couldn't do. He was born in Los Angeles and worked for nearly 2 decades as a journeyman high-rise carpenter. He attended University of California, Santa Barbara, where he earned degrees in philosophy and religious studies, so naturally he became a creative writer. His debut book, the short story collection, The Magic of Blood, won the PEN Hemingway Award in 1993 and was a finalist for the PEN Faulkner. He followed that up with 3 other books of fiction, The Flowers, The Last Known Residence of Mickey Acuna, and Woodcuts of Women, and a collection of nonfiction essays, Gritos, which was a finalist for the National Book Critics Circle Award. He edited Hecho en Texas, an anthology of Texas Mexican literature, which won the 2007 PEN Southwest Book Award for nonfiction, and he has garnered such awards as a Dobie Paisano Fellowship, a Guggenheim Fellowship, a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts, and a Whiting Writers Award. His work has appeared in such small publications as The New Yorker, Harper's, Plowshares, Boston Review, and many others. He has lived in LA, El Paso, and Austin, and he's currently on the faculty of University of Houston, Victoria, where he's executive director of Centro Victoria and founding editor of the literary journal Huizache. Of his latest story collection, 2011's Before the End, After the Beginning, one reviewer wrote that the book features, quote, the working class Mex-Am, as Gilb likes to call Mexican Americans, milieu from his past works, and makes the exquisitely careful explorations of the human condition, love and lust, identity and confusion, weakness and death, that his readers have come to expect and revere him for, end quote. That Mex-Am milieu, as the reviewer called them, are Chicanos and Chicanas from the corners I spoke of, working class sections of cities like El Paso and LA. The characters in his stories are people who fret over missed rent payments and jerk bosses, their high school loves, their duplex neighbors stealing their parking spaces, the dads they can't connect with and the mothers they can't escape, the cars that may or may not get them to work at the construction site or the next gig in Austin. Gilb has said that for years he devoured foreign literature, Russian, French, Latin American heavyweights. And then I started writing, he wrote, and the stories that came out of me were from a culture and region I knew and lived. Perhaps that's why the death mask of Pancho Villa troubled me so all those years ago. Just a few weeks prior, in my first fiction workshop, I'd been told by one girl that the stories I wrote were very nice, but always about Mexican people. Couldn't I write about something else that she could relate to? I also write about Filipino people, I should say, but I don't think that would have helped her. I'd been stung by that, and rather than feeling defiant, I felt vulnerable, worried about what and who I write. But in Death Mask of Pancho Villa, there was zero explanation of the Chicano-ness of it. No translations, no apologies. I kept thinking about it. I thought about it as I rode the bus to my apartment in East Austin. I thought about it that weekend when I talked to my grandparents in Brownsville in that Spanglish border tongue. I thought about it all weekend and all week, and by the time we met back up in class the following Friday, the story was stuck with me. The gaps in it, the boldness of it, didn't confuse me anymore. They energized me. I bought The Magic of Blood and devoured it. Gilb's stories in it are similar to Pancho Villa, stories that can span whole lives or something as short as the length of a car ride. Sometimes characters change, they do. Sometimes they wish they could, or they delight in the idea that they never will. Dare us to be different, they seem to say, a challenge to the reader, like me, who wanted that. This week, in the current political climate we find ourselves in, rereading these books has been not so much of a comfort to me as a rallying cry, its own grito. Perhaps it's a reach to say this, but in the pages of Gilb's books, I find the words over and over from the mouths of people I know, people I write. We are here, they say. We are characters who have arcs and do not, lives that change or do not. We are here all the same. We owe you nothing. I wonder what words we'll hear today. Please help me welcome Dagoberto Gilb.
I'm going to sit. You know, I usually in my, Does that help? Is that better? Is that anything? Does that matter? Usually I like, when somebody gives me a really fine introduction like that, I want to say, it was really good, but you could have said more. I like to hear good things about me. But that was so good, I don't even know what to say. Although I need to read Pancho Villa again. But I think something happened at the end. And I can't remember what it was. And it seemed like it was good. And I'm like, I thought Gilb wrote really a good one. I thought that was a good one by that guy. And I'm like, shit, I don't know if you're right that I didn't do that. He didn't do that. Okay, let me get myself. I'll have my non-topo chico. And then I'm going to read from this thing and get through this maze. Anyway, what a pleasure this is. What a great. I have to say, I'm really amazed how good this school is. That sounds funny. I guess it's because it's true. I expected something else, and I don't know why. I was trying to go through, what was I? And I guess it's because I thought it was a smaller school. And it turns out it's a very sophisticated school, and you're very lucky to have such an amazing creative writing program. I was stunned. I was particularly stunned because generally, you know how writers are pompous assholes? And none of them here. It's like, wow, that's weird. Maybe I'm wrong. But actually, I look back and I'm like, no, that was wrong. That was the wrong man. That was the wrong man. And no, you guys are really lucky. What a wonderful place you are. And Lisa, thank you. We went through actually kind of a lot that didn't happen, corresponding. It was a strange experience, but I'm really grateful to be here. And I also want to say thank you, Macmillan Press, for this great event. I think it's a nice thing. One of the things I have that I think they brought me for, and I don't know if the book is that I have a chapter in your freshman comp, which is really one of those things that you can be kind of a loser in lots of things, like I don't sell very much, but it's like, yeah, but I have 45 pages about my writing. It's like in a freshman comp, it's like between Chekhov and Ibsen, and it's like, that's all. It's pretty cool. So, okay, let me get myself organized. I'm doing this sitting thing because it's easier. Okay, what am I going to read? No, not that one. It's just easier for me. I have some disabilities, and I'm it's kind of one of those good things to have disabilities because it also means I have an excuse to sit and not do that, because I fidget so much. Even when I didn't have disabilities, I would be there, and I can't hold still, so it's very hard for me to do these readings. But I'm going to read from the flowers here, but I want to take a second. One last thing. I guess I have to kind of know how much time I'm taking. This is the last thing. Sorry, come on. I don't know how to. Oh, I know what to do. No, it'll work. Here we go. Eventually I'll get there. I'm just, okay, go. I guess it starts here. That's good. I want to talk about what it means to write a book and from a culture, from a country that has no idea who we are. It's odd. And I'm kind of an odd version of that country because I'm mixed. And I wrote this book. It's called The Flowers. And if you look at the cover, it's kind of a strange cover. And in fact, in a lot of respects, I would probably, if I knew how to manage, I would change this cover because if the book isn't good or something, then at least it isn't about the cover. Because you know how covers kind of, you take that in and it just sort of absorbs your feelings about the. So in the background of this book, you'll see an apartment complex. And actually, I drew that complex. Not like that because I can't draw, but I sketched the sort of basic scene because I had some idea, and actually they listened to me, which is, as I'm sure a lot of the writers here will tell you, you should never listen to a writer. That's a really bad, endless problems occur. And why would you ask the writer what he or she wants? Because they're never happy. But they've been really good to me, and they liked some of my ideas. So I drew this, and I picked, God, is this being taped? I picked an artist who I thought would do something primitive and sort of childlike. Something you would buy on Wattis Avenue, or, just something, a pre-Columbian version of an apartment complex in Los Angeles. But somehow a vision of it as a pre-Columbian, or maybe just colonial, but anywhere right around that villagey, little pueblo. So that's what came out. But my publisher, who's a really good guy, he's kind of like my boss. I like him, he pays me, all this stuff. I don't like that. I want a woman on the cover. And I'm like, okay, a woman on the cover, which I don't know. There is a mother and there's a young woman, but it really isn't the focus of the book. Anyway, and he picked one, and he picked this woman who had, her hair up and had a red rose and was going and it was like, okay, we have a little problem because I don't have not even one flamenco scene. And given that it's LA, I'm not even sure I have ever known, like, could I add a flamenco scene? And I don't even know many flamenco Mexicans. And so I'm like, I have no idea what to say, but I don't want to piss you off because I really like you. And I know you mean well, but can we not do that? But then it was like, but we have to put a woman because he wants a woman, and that's a long story I won't go into. And so he put this woman on the cover. And it's a self-portrait of the artist, who I didn't even know. She's kind of a pretty woman. And but it has nothing to do with the inside of the book. and actually what I'd wanted is to make the record, in my idea, it was like a room with two windows. Here's a real window over here. I actually hadn't thought about it all the way, but I thought you would see this LA. And then a shitty painting over here that I had the one drawn. It would be hanging on the wall with wire. And it would be like two, like that. That was my idea. But it came out like this. And I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, I got other things. I got stalkers. I got all kinds of shit going on. I can't figure it out. You must be right. I'll go. So there we are. That's the cover of the book. It's weird, and I don't know what to make of it. And there you go. So there's not a lot. This is the opening of the book. And get myself used to sitting here and reading it. Not that many years ago, I would go into a house in the neighborhood, not always someone's I knew, one I'd never been inside of, where I'd only have to maybe hop a fence, nothing complicated, and from the backyard I'd crawl through an open window. People always latch the ones in the front, but never in the back, and especially not the bathroom one, you know? And it wasn't so small I couldn't get in quick. I could have stolen lots of shit in those houses, except that's not what I was going in them for. I wasn't like that. Maybe I don't know exactly what I was doing, except I was doing it. I never took nothing much if I did, because I didn't want to. I was more watching how the people lived, imagining how it would be in their house. I stared at the framed pictures they had up of their family, husbands in suits and wives with necklaces and old grandparents from the old other times, way before. Unsmiling dudes glaring at you in tilted military hats and coats with medals and ribbons. Full body shots of happy daughters in white veils and lacy, crunchy wedding dresses that pour all over into the bottom of the picture. Shocked little babies in blue backgrounds squinting like, what's going on here? What's all this light shit? Dopey, dumb, I'm so proud high schoolers graduating and making a face like they were department store managers. If I felt like it, if I had the mood, I sprawled out on their couch or I lay down on their beds, go, how would it be if I lived here? I let that come on to me. I'd let my mind go to the show it liked. Maybe you could say I would go off to my own world until I stopped getting too stupid because, you know, I had to leave and get out of there fast. And once I got up, shook it off and remembered where I really was, even if I opened the refrigerator, when I looked inside, it wasn't like I didn't think of eating or drinking. I didn't take even a soda, thirsty as I might have been. I didn't want them to know I'd been there. Though I kind of opened the fridge door because maybe I do think of, well, like orange juice. It's that I like orange juice. So maybe when there was some orange juice, I might have taken a gulp or two. But see, even then, nobody'd really know it. One time I was in this one house and I was looking inside a drawer in this girl's bedroom. I knew about her because She was this dude's older sister, and she was in junior college. It was that there were a bunch of bras, and I picked them up and looked at them, touched them, because I was holding them. It wasn't like I hadn't seen my moms and my sisters. It wasn't like I didn't know the difference. It was the only time there was something like that, I swear, and I did stop myself once, and yeah, I still got jumpy about it and felt like it was fucked up. Really bad of me. And you know what? Afterwards, I only snuck into one more house. Like I said, I don't know what I was doing it all for. It wasn't like I liked doing it. I got worried I was getting sent to juvie when just a couple years later, I did have to go to the court because of nothing for so much less. That was this time when the police scraped the tires of their black and white against the curb ahead of me. I was walking by myself. At first I didn't believe it was about me, but that policeman kept wanting to know what I was doing. I was not wanting to say. Okay, maybe even really I was scared like anybody and I didn't want to show it, but probably I did. How was I supposed to answer? Because what I do, was just walking, you know? Maybe a couple of days earlier, I pocketed a chocolate bar and I folded a baby comic book down my pants. It wasn't like the first time I did that. And when I did get caught this one and only time, when a drugstore man yelled something, I ran and I never made it back to that store again. And that was the worst of it. And that already was back then. And no way anyone could still care or remember. So the passenger cop who came up to me, first he goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Walking on the street, mister." Which is when the driver policeman comes around to stand next to me, to his partner, and he frowns at me too, like I'm stinky. Until a second or so later, he gets this expression on his face. His eyes go a little up to the sky, and his body gets kind of stiff, and he blows this fat old pedo. And so like anyone would, I laugh. I did because it was funny, right? And so, yeah, I'm all guilty of laughing. But that's when they both get all blow it up mad, like I'm disrespectful and I got attitude. And who did I think I am? They got so close into my face, I thought they were gonna kick the crap out of me. And so that's when I had to go to the juvie court to hear the commercial about disrespecting the police and authority, and to hear about all the potential trouble I was going to be in if I didn't go right and good and straighten out and care about school and my education and get good grades. My mom had to be there too with me. She had to take off from her work and listen and act like she was all worked up about me too, which she wasn't. I knew it because I heard her talking all the time on the phone about what she was up with. But the lady judge wasn't going to notice nothing. Once I told my mom how the police dude threw a fart, she cracked up just like me because it was funny, right? But I knew not to say nothing to the judge about what really happened. I'm not stupid. That judge, she wouldn't have laughed, and then I don't think my mom would have laughed no more, and she never laughed as much as me. She was tired and she didn't like to waste time because she was already way too busy. Let me go way ahead here. This one night, I was watching the TV. I already ate a cheese enchilada frozen dinner, which was crap, and the fried chicken, which I love, but my mom said cost too much. My dog, who I named Goofy because of her floppy black ears, even though she was a girl dog, was with me on the couch after she licked the tin container all clean, dragging them all around with her tongue, like, then scratching and biting at her pulgas back near my lap. When all of a sudden she hears something, and she was digging her claws against my legs because she was on it before a human ear can, running so fast she was barely able to make a corner turn to the straight ahead for the front door, barking all excited like it was somebody she hadn't seen all day. I didn't hear nothing, probably because I had that TV on and nobody ever knocked on the door unless it was a Mormon or a Jehovah or one of those ex-tecatos who love Jesus like they do their heroin. And I learned to stop opening the door for any of them. Usually I would even look if I did hear, but because Goofy's usually I wouldn't even look if I did hear, but because Goofy's barking so crazy, I go, and before I even get near the door, I could feel the pounding on it through the floor, and I heard some man yelling at it loud, and he's beating on it a lot, so hard that it's shaking and rattling. I ain't going to answer, but he kept hitting on it so much I can't help myself. The words pop out of my mouth that my mom's not here. It was that he was screaming about her. He was screaming like, "You bitch, open the fucking door right now, you goddamn thief, you slut, you bitch, open this door, Sylvia, right now, or I'll fucking bust it in." I was standing there, not sure what to say or do next. Goofy all barking, wagging like it was something fun. "Open the door," he says. "Open the door." And without thinking first, now I'm talking too. I'm saying no. I'm saying that my mom's not home. I go reach over and check that it wasn't still locked, and I hooked the chain thing, backing away from it as quickly as I got as quickly as I got close. "Open the door," he says. He was beating on it so that the door was wanting to give in. "Open it." I felt like the whole house was shaking. Finally, I can think for a second. It was hard because Goofy was going all crazy. "She's not home," I shouted. I can think finally, and what I'm thinking is that I know who it is. I'm thinking that it's the man I heard her talking on the phone about, that once he'd shot a man, that he got drunk a lot. This man's voice sounded drunk. "You open the door," he says, "or do you want me to bust it in?" I swear he was slugging the door with his fist, and there was like a crackling wood sound. "Do you hear me, kid? Do you fucking hear me?" I'm whispering to Goofy to stop barking. "Come on, Goof," trying to make her calm, but she's on automatic. It got like she was barking at another dog and wanting to bite. "Where is the bitch? You tell that fucking mother of yours to open the door or I'm busting it in right now. You hear me?" I ran to the kitchen. I had to open a bunch of drawers because my mom never put things in the same ones, or maybe I didn't because I didn't know which drawer either. I found the big knife. It was as long as my wrist, a wood handle. As soon as I grip it in my hand, I didn't feel as scared. I didn't care if he carried a gun. He comes in, I cut the dude. Goofy was still wailing at the door, and he was still hitting on it and saying shit, but it seemed quieter to me. I walked a little slow back, and I didn't go near the door, but to a side of it. I held the big knife in my hand, and I'm gripping it so hard I didn't feel like it was a knife, but me. The man started kicking the door. Then he was throwing his body against it, and you could hear wood cracking. I'm just standing there, and I didn't hear Goofy no more if she was even barking. When the door blasts, splintering the side opening it opened on, it swung so hard and wild that Goofy didn't move away, and she made a loud crying yelp, gets thrown against the wall, crushed between it and the door. The man was standing outside on the front porch and breathing fast. He rolled up the sleeves of his white business shirt and tucked it into his black slacks, and there was some tattoo on his right forearm muscle, and he had on a slippery tie loose around an unbuttoned collar, and he was big, his face all purple. Real quick, Goofy went back to her barking again, and the man couldn't figure out which of us to look at first until I see him see my knife. His eyes were slits, but I could feel heat and breathing out of them. And I was standing there, maybe 10 feet away, one hand with the big knife loaded in it, the other hand clenched and a little up, looking ready to jab in a left-right combination. "Watch yourself now, kid," he says as he decided to step inside toward me. I stepped back, though not like I was backing off. You have to put that down right now," he says to me. "You just drop it, okay, kid?" I didn't say nothing. I stepped back once more, keeping the same distance between us. He stepped toward me again, and I backed up once more, thinking where a knife should go. When he went at me, he was so fast he put me on the floor even before I saw him come, and his hand locked my wrist with the knife in it on the floor. He pushed the air out of me because his body on me was so heavy I couldn't breathe. Goofy was growling and biting him, and I was trying to at least kick his nuts, but I didn't do a thing to him, and when I made him roll a little, it made the knife dig into my own stomach. He got me onto my back and pinned me, both my hands pressed to the floor, his knees into my chest, hurting my ribs, the knife not cutting me or him. "Stop," he says, too close to my face. "You gonna stop?" Goofy was back to biting him, and that was when he let go of me, ripping the knife away from me, and as he stood up. Goofy kept going for his leg until his bare black shoe lifted her jaw and head when he kicked her there really hard, and she whimpered, hurt. I got up once he got off me, and I was crying, and I saw how I was bleeding at my stomach. It didn't hurt or nothing yet. He was standing there, watching me for what might not have been such a long time, and then he just turned around and he took off out the broken front door. And then the entire novel gets funny. So that's the opening of The Flowers. It's funny. I don't think the story's about a riot. Oh, what did I do that for? The story's about a riot that takes place, and a young girl that this boy sort of saves. So now I'm going to change. Okay, come on. I'm going to change styles and subjects. Let me get to it. About maybe 6-7 years ago, there was I don't know if you've all heard of the WPA. Oh my God, I can't think of what it is. WPA is the Workers Program Administration. Somebody can look it up. It's the FDR program. And the WPA put a lot of people out of work in the Depression. And a lot of writers went to work. And a lot of the major writers, Ralph Ellison and Studs Terkel, and God, I mean the list, I can't think of all the names, but it's a really prestigious list of writers that were put to work by the federal government to go study different communities and find out what's going on in the communities. And so they would go to every little catty corner and talk to people, and it was all recorded. You could still go look these up. They're absolutely fascinating. And so about, I guess it's 6-7 years ago, a writer decided to do it again, only with 50 states and 50 writers. And I got a call, and I assumed it would be not California, but Texas. And I thought I could do a pretty good story about Texas, but instead he was from Iowa, and I've got to find he was from Iowa, and he wanted me to go to Iowa and write about Iowa. What he wanted me to do was go to the meatpacking plants and talk to the Mexicanos working at the meatpacking plants, which was a totally good idea. But I didn't want to do that because it was funny, like a year before I had told my agent, what if I wrote about corn? I want to write about corn. And she thought, well, that's a good idea. You could write a book. And I don't write books. I just want to write about corn, like a small piece, but I want to sell it. And, there's so much died. Well, then this guy calls me. And, that was pretty convenient. I said, no, but I'll go. I won't write about that. I'll write. Let me see if I can find this thing. Let me not have a problem. I think I'll take that version. I'm having weird problems with my... Anyway. So I decided that I would go and study corn. I think what's really interesting, if you think about what corn is, if you think about where corn is from, and you think about Iowa, what are the two main features of Iowa? The two main products that you think of when you think of Iowa. One being the pig. And the pig really came with the Spanish brought the pig. Not Cortez, the Pizarro, the guy that conquered Peru. His family they raised pigs. They're from Extremadura, and they raised pigs and they brought pigs across with them, like they brought horses. And it was all new to the New World. The other big thing that Iowa is known for is corn. So, guess where corn is from? And it's sort of a fascinating thing to think that the most American state in the Union is like the epitome of the Spanish conquest. It is the interconnectedness of all of us. It's the pig and corn. Corn more than anything is Iowa. And corn more than anything is Mexico. So this story is a very abbreviated version of the longer piece I wrote. I call it Las Milpas in Iowa. The leaves of the corn stalks are waxy, veined, like narrow palm, and the two sides of each leaf peel and fall away from its spine as they grow out. Water can funnel right into that crease like halved paper, run down the stalk, drench the shallow roots until they are long enough to droop delicately, tenderly at their endpoints. Their stalks are bamboo thin and knuckled, and here already at least as tall as I am. And though I can see through them and past, a green patina rustles more than in the leaves, but it is a light casting through like a mist. And it's the blue sky you begin to see better, blue as an imagined heaven, blue that isn't only sky but is this earth, as close as the tallest green stalks and leaves touching it. And it is noticeably more blue because it rests on top of the cornfield. How to make the commercial tortilla. There are 15 55-gallon drums, and every night the corn soaks for 4 to 5 hours, bubbling under the 15 burners, and they are stirred with paddles that are like for a rowboat. After a while, using a can of measured size, lime is scooped out of some sacks and mixed in and stirred and stirred. A foam like from the ocean rises, which means it's working, breaking down the corn right so it'll be healthy to eat. Then the corn it rests a few hours, warm still. Tin buckets with holes in the bottom both takes out the corn and drains the water so it can be ground in the molino, where stones turn it into masa. Now a ball the size of a watermelon, it's fed between twin rollers which flatten the dough onto a conveyor where it is cut. This raw tortilla falls onto a traveling grill, cooking one side, then falls to another, flipping it to its other side until it falls onto one more belt, which drops it onto a cooked stack. Women pick them up from there, counting them onto a waxed paper. They wrap the paper up around this counted pile and flip the package over. In, for example, Corpus Christi, Texas, it might have been called charro tortillas printed on it, and stack them in a box for delivery. Because this is about the tortilla. This is about corn grown in Iowa. This is about the people who are in the campus of Iowa picking the vegetables and walking the cornfields. These people are Mexican people. They are of the culture where hand-ground masa was first patted into tortillas, and because of that, it is said that the physical body of any Mexicano is at least half corn. They are from the civilization that worship the corn plant as a god. In some regions, such as what became Guatemala, the god, the image of God. And they are from the soil and nation where this corn we all have learned to eat and to feed as grain for healthy livestock was first developed and harvested 5,000 years ago. They are the people who now are driven here because even corn and the tortilla is going up in price, and subsidized corn in the United States is cheaper to import, while its demand raises its value to the corporate farmers in Mexico. Because corn has become an ethanol fuel industry, its hybrid grain is even more wanted. In Mexico, the ordinary milpas cornfields are shrinking in size, and those people who traditionally work them can't make enough to survive in their villages, and so they are leaving like animals in a drought, going to the big cities to find jobs, and they are crossing the border because that is where most jobs are. They have come even to Iowa because they will be hired and work in meatpacking plants cheaply, hard, and they work in the fields cheaply and hard. And as they walk las milpas in Iowa to do as their culture has for thousands of years, anti-immigrant ideologues bash them for spoiling what they see as a field of dreams, as clean and pure as Iowa butter, as nostalgic as baseball, as all-American as Kevin Costner. Becky's my ride to a cornfield being walked. It's known by a field number, the digits as natural and recognized to these people as a pet's name. Her blue pickup loaded with iced sodas and a chest of lonches. She wanted to know why it has to be her who takes me, and she isn't entirely joking. She's a big Iowa woman, a 60s grown-up, born and raised not far away, rooted to the driver's seat. Her tattoo is barely seen under the sunburn of her fleshy upper arms. She also works biker gatherings and just retired from the clerical staff at the university. It's a few ranch roads to where we go, a route that crossed the rich Iowa River and leads to Muscatine. Talking about the men bunking in the schoolhouse, she says she cannot imagine the raunch of it. Sweat and dirty socks, snores, farts from those beans. Who'd be able to stand all these men, she asks. She pauses. Then again, she might, she tells me, smiling. We pull onto the dirt farm road where dust rises from behind like the blow of bad rings and stop alongside the cornfield near a rented yellow school bus that transports the workers. Men too short to be seen inside the tall corn jungle begin to emerge. No factory whistle, and it's not like a construction site either, where it's a certain hour and everyone stops everything. Mostly in pairs, the campesinos exit slowly, unrushed, from the world of the surcos, rows, bandanas under their hats to wrap their necks, bandanas and dark glasses masking their faces. A few have mosquito netting and long-sleeve shirts and gloves, their mochila, a day bag or a plastic store bag, to carry an extra shirt or a rain poncho or some rubber boots and their own personal valuables, slung on their back or in hand. On their belts hangs a rubber clip for a soda bottle to carry water. They get their lunches from the ice chest, a caldo of pork, pineapple and bell pepper, a fresh jalapeno, tortillas still warm in the foil. A few men go inside to sit on the soft seats there. A few sit against the side of the bus in a slant of shade. I go over to three who rest at the back to the water igloo, taking their time before they eat. I tell them how they all look like Subcomandante Marcos coming out from the jungle. After a moment to absorb my humor, they look at each other until they finally grin. They are from Monterrey, young, though one must be closer to 30 than the other two. None of them have crossed the U.S.-Mexico border before. Only one of them has worked in agriculture previously. But this isn't hard work, except for the long hours, though it isn't so hot yet. Even with the long sleeve shirts, the fields aren't too muddy. The mosquitoes haven't gotten so bad yet. Jobs are hard to find over there, and it's never enough. The youngest one talks about working in garages and restaurants. There's a lot of danger to, there's a lot of danger to do other things. The older one says how small movidas might seem good for a little while, but it's not worth the trouble. This work is good for them, even if it's only a month. Excuse me. Maybe it's this doing that. We are looking at the sky. More Hollywood design and concept than Iowa. The clouds too white, too flawlessly shaded gray to be too flawlessly shaded gray to be believed. Too beautiful. The older one asks about me, and I tell them how I was born in Los Angeles and worked construction. Even though their mirror glasses, even through their mirror glasses, I see their eyes go starry. I mention El Paso and the capital, Austin, and how in Dallas, and how in Houston, and it's as though I am speaking of mythic lands. I gesture to the east and tell them, over there is where Chicago is, very close. The youngest one jokes how fast they could get there. The other two aren't even considering it, though the third, quiet one, takes a couple of steps in that direction to see that much closer. This is good for now, the older says. It's what they have. After a pause, the younger one returns sincerely. Así es la vida. We drive to another field, more masked campesinos breaking through the corn jungle rows unexcitedly, unhurried, to take lunch. The conversations are muted. Music they like and don't. Other places they've been. Muted like they are far away. On the field, the crew chief has them leave their mochila at the beginning of each row, and all but 3 have been picked up. When most have finished eating, 2 of the stragglers appear and nod, pleased about where to find the lunches. 20 minutes later, the last one, Oscar, unmasked, finally comes out just as these other two go back to work. Maybe 18, maybe 21. Unlike all the others I've seen so far, he is overweight in that soft manner of a good boy from El Paso or San Antonio, playing too many video games in front of a TV with sodas, candies, and Doritos. His slow is tired, but also much more. Lost, miserable, mom sick. And he can barely speak. Though he does a thank you when he is told where he will find his lonche. When he is done eating, maybe he does take an entire half an hour, but certainly no more than a half an hour. He ends his lunch break in the same self-absorbed, unself-conscious way he began, stepping back like his feet hurt to a line of surcos where the others have been out of sight for some time already. Here you go. To be at the school buses at 4:30 a.m., you have to get up and go to them earlier. It's dark then. The rising sun in the east is an ember of blue light, so pure it calms all in its sight. The only nature visible except when a stray head and tail lights sizzle by on the highway. The buses idling, the campesinos, their mochila hung on shoulders, hats on, t-shirts and bundles both, their work IDs looped to their neck, find their way inside the bus they are assigned. So effortless and still, it's almost like nature itself. After those men have gone, a couple who stay behind greet me as they are walking out of the kitchen with a styrofoam coffee cup steaming. The first one is named Raul, and he's originally from Big Spring, Texas. Been in Conesville, Iowa for so many years now. He's for Iowa football and thinks this year they're going to beat Texas. His job is as a translator, and he tells me it's the best job he's ever had. When his wife and 2 teenage children drive up in a pickup, he introduces them all to me, switching into English. His wife, a native Iowan, he met while he first came here. When he first came here for work. His children, sleepy as they are nothing but polite. They are Iowans. When he takes off with them, it's Alejandro who comes over. Alex is what they call him. Alejandro is the man probably counted on the most. This is the 5th year here now, and he is employed at least a month before the other workers and at least a month after, always the longest. When 3 men pile out of the bunkhouse at 5 a.m., it's him who is shaking his head at them. He told everyone 4:30, and now there's no ride until 6:30. They wait over on the school steps. Alejandro is from Nayarit, which is on the Pacific Ocean side of Mexico, a long way from a bus depot in Monterrey. He's picked everything, he tells me, proud, every fruit and every vegetable. Just before he came here, he'd been working in a sugarcane factory back home. This is a good job, he tells me. He'll come back as often as he can. Mr. Bell, the boss, treats them all well. It is dawn now, blue-gray, more people, more talk, no more indoor lights needed. Alejandro yells over to those guys sitting. He tells them that they can get a ride in a pickup that just pulled up, that it's going to their field, to not forget to check in with their crew chief. 6'5" high, Alejandro is as tall and lean as the healthiest Iowa cornstalk, as native of Mexico as maíz, and he is right in the middle of the field of dreams. I want to thank you all for listening and being here, and I don't know if should we talk or should we go party? I can answer questions. I don't even know. I've been like 40 minutes. 45 minutes is a long time. So I'll let the boss, Lisa, tell me what to do. It's hard to answer questions.
See if there are questions. If there are questions.
Are there questions? Anybody stand up and ask a question or buy books? Well, thank you. Oh, there's a question. Oh, sorry.
What is the work that you're most proud of?
Oh, this is one of those. It's like, which child do you like the most? I really don't like that ugly one. They all cause their various prides and various troubles. It's confusing. It's hard to figure out what, you go through like very much like kids. Like sometimes they're doing really well and you're all happy, and sometimes they're doing bad and you want to get pissed. And it's like their fault, not yours. And you never know what the heck is really wrong. Like, oh, did I do something? Maybe I wrote something bad. No, it's their fault. They didn't do this, and I told them to do that, and they didn't do that, and now I'm not selling. I look bad. No, I don't know. It's real hard. You just do your best. It's like everything else. You just do your best. Sometimes you try to get away with things when you don't know if you did your best, but yeah, anything.
Can you say something about Versace?
Oh, good question. Here it is right here. I have one copy for sale. Thank you very much. Versace. Okay, so what's the word? The word, it's the name of a plant, of a tree. It's an acacia tree. And it's kind of a stumpy acacia tree with beautiful yellow flowers. It is not particularly loved it's a native of Mexico, but it grows wild in South and East Texas. And because it grows wild and it has big root system and in cattle and farming country, it is very much unliked. And the farming and ranching community is not very Mexican in Texas, and they don't like the huizache. And they actually have another word, because you know how in Texas their syllables are bad. 2 syllables is as much as you'll get. So it's called a huizache. I hate that huizache. I'm gonna dino that huizache. Well, that's the huizache. It's a huizache here in Texas. And they even take the Z out, which is native to Mexico. They put an S. I even get once in a while from people I know who are from Texas who've just put the S in because they're from Texas. I like, well, you are so screwed up. But anyway, the thing with this magazine is, this is its 6th edition. There have been attempts. I can see a couple people want to throw things at me in my mind. They're not even close to here. There's never really been a major magazine that's center. Okay, step back over here. Most magazines are from the East Coast. And I'd say 90% of the magazines of importance are from the East Coast, and it's not really illogical given that the publishing industry is focused in New York City and Boston. So the two major places for magazines of any importance are those two places. And naturally, because of that, you know, the magazines there, they might have, let's say, 25 people they publish each month or whatever. And in that, you know, they will publish one black person, one brown, maybe they'll switch it with an Asian, but never three. One time, I can tell you, the very first time the New Yorker was thinking of publishing me, it was either me or Juno Diaz, and there was a debate. And of course, you know, it was a big issue that there was 8, but could they have had 2? Oh, are you crazy? That cannot happen. That's like a conspiracy. So anyway, but also there are no magazines in the West, really. Even the magazines from the West, which is like San Francisco, even they don't really pay attention to brown and black people. And it's not so much the brown and black, but, you know, it is where we live in the Southwest. That's the nature of this land. It's the history of where you are. It's one of the beautiful things. That's why there are tacos everywhere. It's wonderful. We all love tacos. It's like competes with pizza. That's theirs. Tacos are ours. Well, the magazine, this magazine is centered in the American West. You could say the American Southwest, but it's the American West. And in that, I want to make it the Mexican-American West. And as the center of the culture that belongs from California to Texas. So it is the culture that is being promoted the most, but it isn't the only culture that's here. So what we do now is there are 2 things that I'm doing that I want the magazine to do is show the East Coast that there's a magazine of people that live here and don't move to New York and haven't done all the right things. Like, well, if you're not going to go to New York, could you go to San Francisco? And some of us can't. We really can't do that. But we still could be writers. You don't have to be born in New York to be a writer. You don't have to live there for 10 years to be a writer. And so I'm trying to show New York that we have a whole culture of art and literature. We know that there's a huge culture of art that has been going on. That's why people love to come to the Southwest, to Tucson, even El Paso. They love it. They love to see the culture that's here and go back to New York and say, wow, I took a trip to, you know, I saw the New Mexico and I saw this well, here's a magazine of our literary culture, and there's some art. So it is for them, and, you know, so that we realize that we have a place to go. In this issue, this particular issue doesn't have a lot of famous people of the Southwest. But if you see the work in here, you know, actually, let's just say there's 40 people in this. There are 40 really good pieces of literature that I can tell you 37 of them, absolutely, and I would go more, but I'm going to be generous. 37 of them would never see the light of day because there's no magazine that would pay attention or give a shit about them, would not even notice, and not because they're bad people, they're not interested. We are interested. So that's that. You know, I always say this, you know, Juno Diaz is my friend, and I said, instead of buying Juno, which makes the New York people think, see, you like Juno? What do you need anybody? What do you need Dagoberto for? What do you need any of these people? You buy Juno, we're right. I wanna say, well, you know, buy this. Show them that you want us. You want where we live matters. And you can make that happen if this kind of stuff happens. Juno, I love the guy. He doesn't give a damn about us. I mean, and should he? Why would he? He's not from here. But he can go and he'll triple this. And it's celebrity and it's all good, but it's not good for us. It's, buying local. So then there's that. So that's the thing we're doing for us. We have a magazine, a go-to magazine for us to write and to be wanted. You're going to go when and we get 400 minimum submissions and say there's 40 in this. This is only once a year. And maybe 5 to 10 and are solicited. So 30, there's a lot of rejections. And for us, that is what I want for us. Because I don't want us to not know there's a standard that we have to get to. You just don't write one poem or two, and that's it, I'm a poet. No, that isn't it. There's a lot more to it. And you have to you have to work at it. And earlier I talked to other people, as a sports metaphor, you have to in a certain class, if it's a certain writing class, it's like when this class, the aim is to run a 7-minute mile. That's what an A is in this undergraduate writing class is. Because a great writer that gets in the New Yorker, she is writing a 4-minute mile. It might be 4 minutes and 10 seconds, which isn't going to win much, but that's hard. That's a lot of time running laps, and it isn't what we're too used to. And I mean this as criticism. It's like, oh, good for you, Mijo, you ran a lap and you almost finished. I'm so proud of you. Do you want some popcorn? Do you want a candy now? And no, well, that's good, but you have to run 3 more and you can't stop. That's undergrad. That's the low level. That's, Wisache, I'd say, is more like a 5.5-minute mile. You probably have been working at it for a year. I mean, that's if you're pretty good. Might be 5 years, but you have to get good at it, and you can't stop. So that's for us. I really see a lot of our lit. It's just, you look at it and go, what the hell is that? Well, it's my sister. What else would I do? I like that chick. She's really cute. No, that's not what this is. So that's Wisache, and actually I have 1 copy, and it's only $15, which is cheap. But I do have 1 copy. I meant to have some sent here, but I forgot. Anyway, good question. Thank you. It's a beautiful magazine, by the way. It really is beautiful. It's one of the more beautiful literary magazines you'll see in the country right now, and it is getting well known. It's pretty exciting. I take it, and we do a gig in LA, and 150 of the biggies come. I mean, it's fun, the parties we have. No, it's exciting. It's really kind of exciting for us. God knows in these times what's next, but whatever. We're still doing all right. Anything else, or do we want to keep on? Anyway, really, I want to just say thank you really a lot. This is a really great. You guys are great.
All right, everybody, go buy books and come up and get them signed. Thank you again for coming.
I'll turn this off.
Okay, thank you.
So I was taking away.